What's going on, everybody? It's Ricky with Videohomicide, back with day 4 of the 31 Days of Horror. Once again, back with another banger. This is also a video nasty. We've got 1982's Pieces, directed by J. Picard Simon. This is a Spanish-made giallo film, and it was one of the films that I didn't even ever hear about until I got, into collecting films. This wasn't like, a childhood go-to like it was for a lot of other people. And I think that's one of the cool things about, collecting films and stuff. Everyone has their own history, and, I feel like I'm about to be 30, and I feel like I'm one of the last, batches of people that got to grow up with renting movies and stuff like that proper in like a video store. So I'm sure this was probably in many a video store that I went into when I was a kid, but again, I was the type that was, apt to watch and rent the same stuff over and over again. And I still am almost guilty of that in terms of watching stuff. Like, there's times where I watch the same movie, like, quite a few times within a calendar year, which is, insane to some people. But, again, I'll quote Kevin Eastman till the day I die. Watching films that you love is almost like hanging out with an old friend. You put a film on in the background while you're like, tinkering around with your collection, or just, cleaning up, whatever it is that you're doing. It's always good to throw in a flick like this. And this particular film was put out by Grindhouse, and Grindhouse is known for doing like very good releases. Like, there's a little tiny miniature like pan flip, there's a soundtrack, and then of course the film. I've only got a few of these Grindhouse releases. I got, and there's only a few of them in existence to begin with, but I got Pieces, Cannibal Holocaust, which we covered, I Drink Your Blood, and The Beyond. And I know they did Cannibal Ferox, which I would love to get. I've actually got a bootleg of the Grindhouse, cover art, at least. It might not be the Grindhouse release, but anyways, Pieces. One other cool fact before I get into the actual film itself is a couple of years ago, like right when COVID was like in its full tilt reign, when Shock Stock was canceled. I think it was Shock Stock 2020 was canceled, and they made do, and they ended up screening Pieces and Evil Dead at the drive-in here in London, the Mustang Drive-In. And one of my films, Spiral Scratch, had been selected to screen at Shock Stock, and with Shock Stock being put to, the cancellation, I'd messaged Jake, who is one of the guys that runs Shock Stock. I said, hey man, what's the deal with these films? Because I know that they were going to show the short films in between the two features, but I also knew that the screenings were sort of, all throughout southwestern Ontario. Like, I think one played at Chatham, I think one played in like Kitchener or something like that. So I was concerned that I was going to not be able to see my film play in my hometown, which that was not the case. I was able to see my film play at my local drive-in, and it was fucking incredible. Kayla was there with me. There was lots of like-minded horror hounds all around. I think like at the theater next, because there's 2 screens at the drive-in that I go to, and I think they were playing like a kids film like across the way. So we got like Pieces playing here and Evil Dead, and then you got like, I don't know, some shitty Marvel film playing with another shitty Marvel film. And I don't want to turn this into like a Marvel rant, but I'm so fucking sick of like all this Marvel bullshit, comic book movie bullshit. Like, it's just, it's funny because I seen this thing on the internet the other day where this guy was saying, like the movies, or like, the comics promote the movies, but the movies don't promote the comics. You know what I mean? So you're not getting like a new wave of kids that want to read comics. You're just getting a new wave of kids that want to watch shitty fucking disposable films that are just trash. And I feel like there's like no shortage of that shit. But anyways, back to Pieces. So the first time that I watched Pieces definitely would have been a bootleg or a DVD-R or just like a rip-off YouTube, whatever it was. And I instantly fell in love with the film because it was right when I was getting into, like I was peeling away at the layers of horror, getting, the outer layers would be like your mainstream sort of franchisey stuff. You peel away, you get movies like Maniac, you get movies like The Burning. Peel away some more, you got Fulci stuff, you got Argento shit, like, and not saying that Argento and Fulci and stuff isn't like very mainstream, but in reality, if you think about it, most people know who Chucky is, but a lot of people don't know who the priest from City of the Living Dead is. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm getting at? So it was definitely an eye-opener to see such a good graphic film, and I emphasize on the word good. And of course, we got Christopher George in this film, and he's always welcome in everything I've ever seen him in. Speaking of City of the Living Dead, he's in that as well. But the movie starts off with this little kid who's like building this little puzzle. It's like a porno puzzle, right? It just shows like a naked broad. You can see her cunt, you can see her tits, that type of thing. The mom comes in, gets pissed off, starts reprimanding him, and then he goes ahead and kills his mom, and then pretends like it wasn't him that did it. So the rest of the film is spent wondering who that kid is, because throughout the film, every time there's a murder, hands with gloves on them, of course, since it's a giallo, is putting this puzzle together. And I really like that. And that's sort of like a common trope within the giallo films, as far as I've seen. I haven't seen that many giallo films. I'm still, doing my research, doing my homework. I'm loving it. It's good entertainment, and it's a good way to kill an hour and a half. Like, I'd rather watch a giallo that I've never heard of and give it a chance more than give some of these like newer releases on your Netflix and Amazon, all that kind of shit. Like the stuff that's just garbage. Like one of the people I work with was talking about like how all the movies on, because they know that I like horror films. They're like, all the horror films on Netflix are like really unwatchable. And I said, I could have told you that. Like, they're just trash. But like movie like Pieces kind of sounds like a disposable or throwaway type of film, but you watch it and you're like, god damn, it's so fucking good. So many good kills. I love this character that's like a groundskeeper dude who is like blamed, like that he's accused of being the killer, even though he's not. Spoiler alert, you should have seen this film by now. If not, I apologize. But lots of good kills involving a chainsaw. Like, I think on the cover of the film it says like, you don't need to go to Texas for a chainsaw massacre, and that's a fact. This movie is about like 1,000 times more graphic than Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There's a great scene that takes place involving an elevator. There's a great murder scene that involves a waterbed. There's a great murder scene that involves being in a pool. Like, it's chock full of goodness, good kills all the way around. I couldn't recommend this movie anymore. I've actually not checked out the special features on that release of Pieces, which I need to do, because I'm sure there's some great stuff on there. Great soundtrack as well. I mean, when it comes to these movies from the early 80s, it's kind of hard to miss. Almost every one you're going to see is going to have at least one thing that is good, and this one I feel like is just all the way around good. There's some good quotes in here too. Like, one of my favorite quotes, it has nothing to do with any horror shit, well, kind of horror, like a fucking broad that's a whore. There's this girl who's smoking a joint or whatever, and they're talking, and this guy's like, do you ever make it on a waterbed? And the girl's like, and it's like a total Italian like voiceover like dub thing, where it's like, there's nothing better than smoking pot and fucking in a waterbed. And I think that's one of the best lines ever, man. It's such a just like cheesy little cheese fest, but this movie's not cheesy. I wouldn't say it's cheesy at all. It's really good. I love again, the ending is really good. There's a lot of suspenseful moments throughout the film. The ending, when you get the reveal where there's like this actual like jigsaw puzzle being made of human bodies, is a really good reveal, and the ending's really good too. The ending kind of reminds me of the ending of Macabre. If you've seen Macabre, I actually did a review of Macabre on last year's 31 Days of Horror, so I'm guilty of actually not watching Pieces to refresh myself for this review, but I feel like I've watched it enough times that I can talk some shit about it and have a good time doing it. So I appreciate everybody for watching, staying tuned throughout the month of October, checking out all kinds of crazy horror flicks, ones I've seen, ones I haven't seen. I hope you guys are enjoying. Make sure you leave a 666 in the comments. With that being said, adios.